First tonight in our news weekend, the standoff continues. The world-famous Valley Boys says they'll hit the road this Junkanoo season after the Youth, Sports and Culture Minister declares the Way Forward Valley Boys was the only Valley Boys group this Junkanoo season. Plus, the debate on minimum wage continues. Trade Union Congress President Obi Ferguson not backing down as he insists the recent increase to the minimum wage wasn't enough. Find out what he believes the right figure is straight ahead. And later, our Daniel Miller speaks with a local businessman who turned roadblocks into a success story. Our news, the weekend edition, starts right now. Welcome to our news, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Berthany McDermott, in for Megan Shepard. The world-famous Valley Boys, led by Brian Adderley, says nothing will stop them from heading to Bay for both major parades. In a statement issued last night, the group told supporters they will be on Bay this coming Junkanoo season. The statement came just after Culture Minister Mario Boleg told reporters there will only be one Valley Boys wrestling this Junkanoo season. Boleg says it will be the Way Forward Valley Boys led by Trevor Davis. In that statement, the world-famous Valley Boys said they were shocked and disappointed by Boleg's comments. They were also shocked about not receiving seed funding on Friday because of a court ruling. The group added that the minister's claim that there is only one Valley Boys is even more confusing. The group called his comments troubling to hear and said the minister assured them in a September 17th face-to-face meeting that the world's famous Valley Boys is eligible for funding and that they would receive it. The group ended by assuring supporters preparations are already well underway. And we now have an update for a story we first reported last night. We now know what led to the tragic death of a little boy in Grand Bahama Friday morning. Police tell us the little boy died in hospital after being struck by an object on a playground. Preliminary reports tell us it was shortly after 11 a.m. when the tragedy struck at the school. Efforts to reach the school were unsuccessful. His mother, Cardia Williams, telling ZNS Northern Service yesterday that her son's heart stopped despite best efforts from doctors and the Rand Memorial Hospital. She called for officials to inspect schools for safety. Enhanced security protocols in public schools not sitting well with the National Parent-Teacher Association. The group says they're concerned. Education Director Dominique McCartney-Russell telling reporters the matter was raised in a national PTA meeting with parents Wednesday evening. In an attempt to maintain order and reduce violence on school campuses, the Department of Education adjusted campus protocol with the introduction of IDs for students. Additionally, parents are no longer allowed to just roam the campus. They must now have a government ID and be escorted.
We have to make sure that the campuses are safe for students and staff alike. And as a result of some of the issues that we've experienced in the past, we've enhanced these protocols so that we can maintain the safety. You cannot have education without order. The environment has to be conducive. And so this is just a part of the discipline strategy and the security strategy and the safety strategy for our team and students.
In past months, there were not only instances of violence among students, but one situation where a parent attacked a principal in Grand Bahama. The education director telling us the goal of the meetings is to strengthen the link between the school and the home.
So Minister has mandated that we meet with the national PTAs just to give them updates on our initiatives, also to prepare students for examinations, to serve as a one-stop shop. So if a parent needs to contact social services, if there's some needs there, we act as a one-stop shop for them.
Opposition leader Michael Pintard accusing the government of dragging its feet on the long-promised Freedom of Information Act, despite having all the tools in place to make it happen. Pintard telling our news that when the Davis administration came to office, an information commissioner and pilot projects were already in place. He argues that the only thing missing has been the political will and resources to get the rollout completed. Now, years later, he says the delay raises questions about transparency.
The same commissioner, who we believe is a talented, well-qualified Bahamian, has indicated that everything that he and his team need to do in order for the rollout has been completed. Any deficits that exist is a deficit of resources, appropriate allocation of resources, and that would be financial and any human resources to make this happen. That falls now in the lap of the executive, of the Prime Minister and his cabinet, and those who will execute on our behalf. And they have failed to do so. We now know that it is not a priority for them.
In the recent budget debate, government allocated $140,000 for FOIA. Back in June, Prime Minister Philip Davis told reporters full implementation of the Freedom of Information Act is not a priority for his administration. The opposition leader says the delay raises questions about transparency.
Why would you not want the public to be able to request information on how we are doing business behind the scenes on their behalf? We speculate that they must have something to hide. And we believe that to be the case because in the House of Assembly, in the question and answer period, they refuse far too often to answer pertinent questions that we have raised on their financial transactions, particularly procurement, on the immigration question and their culpability in what is going on, and a whole host of other issues.
Trade Union Congress President Toby Ferguson calling for a hike in the national minimum wage, saying the current $260 per week falls short of what Bahamian families need to survive. Ferguson is pushing for the wage to be raised to $350 per week, stressing that too many workers are struggling. He added that while some people may appear to spend freely, the reality for many employees is that their income simply does not meet the standard cost of living.
The poor worker got 4 kids in the house, got to pay water bill, light bill, phone bill. Those people are not interested in improving the life of the 200,000 workers we have in this country. $260 a week seems to be acceptable. But I can assure you, the Congress, the Trade Union Congress, is not in agreement with that.
Redevelopment of several Family Island airports is completed, but there is still a lot more work to do. That's the update coming from Aviation Director Dr. Kenneth Rumer, who spoke to reporters on the sidelines of the inaugural Girls in Aviation Day event at Jet Aviation Saturday morning. It's all part of the Family Island Airport Renaissance project. Officials say its goal is to modernize and expand infrastructure across its Family Island airports. Key components of the initiative include rebuilding runways, constructing new terminals, and upgrading facilities at multiple airports like those in Long Island, Eleuthera, Exuma, and the Abacus, with significant investment from sources including the Saudi Fund for Development. And the push to create better airports has gotten noticed by a major airline, Rumer says.
We know that we completed Ragged Island. We completed again Great Harbor Key. Right now we have the Bimini Airport, South Bimini Airport. We are hopeful that we have a ribbon cutting in the Q4 of next year. American Airlines, again, has announced airlift into South Bimini.
American Airlines was not the only international airline to announce new routes. Frontier released a statement early this month announcing their return to the Lynden Pinling International Airport with non-stop service to Atlanta. And character company Aztec Airways also announced they will be offering direct flights from Fort Lauderdale International Airport to the Exuma International Airport later this year. Rumer said officials are continuously working to bring more airlift to the Bahamas and not just New Providence.
We're seeing increased capacity now with Copa, attracting visitors from our Latin American airlines, but our Family Islands are also experiencing unprecedented airlift. We have Makers Air that have been announcing airlift into Cat Island, into Stella Maris.
When our news weekend comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to the fly fishing industry as a 3-day conclave highlights some big performers. And Northern New Providence high schools get some much-needed science equipment with the help from corporate Bahamas. That's coming up when our news weekend returns.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blue for me and you. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world.
The spotlight was on the Bahamas fly fishing industry this week as the Bahamas Fly Fishing Industry Guide hosted a 3-day conclave that highlighted some of the top performers. The gathering brought together government officials, industry leaders, and veteran guides to highlight the sector's achievements and chart a course for the future. Agriculture and Marine Resources Minister Jomo Campbell telling reporters it's an industry that deserves recognition.
They've been the guardians of our environment for generations. We just honored Mr. Pindo, who has 3 generations of born fishermen in his family. And these are the foundation upon which we have now built the BFFIA and the flat fishing industry at large. And so we have to take root and take note of where we have come from in order to determine how far we'll go.
The conclave was also a proud moment for those who've dedicated their lives to the industry. Julius Rankine, owner of Fishbone Tours and a newly appointed warden out of Savannah Sound, Eleuthera, says the responsibility of protecting the flats is vital to safeguarding their livelihood. He also reflected on just how far the fly fishing industry has come over the years.
It gives you more or less a license to speak up from a perspective of, I know what's taking place. I'm not just running some foreigner off of the flats. You know, it's putting the Bahamian guide in a place where they can say something from a position of respect, letting that angler know, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that, and protecting the flats, because if you have to wait on a police officer, you miss the bus. You know, so being able to outfit one of the guides who's on the flats 24/7, that's where your power is. That's the people who protect it.
And now to some good news in education. Schools in the Northern District of New Providence were the recipients of scientific equipment for the math and science departments of their schools. With the help of corporate sponsors, the students were given scientific resources that spark skill-based inquiry and innovation in science. At a ceremony at the Ministry of Education Thursday morning, each school was presented a box of equipment to further students' skills. Education Minister Glenys Hannah Martin encouraged the students not to feel constrained, but to explore the area of science.
The range of opportunity is huge in science. And so I want you to see this as an area in which you take it bull by the horns and go with it and as fast as you can and develop yourselves to the fullest within this area.
And of course, it would not be possible without the generous donation from corporate sponsors. One of those sponsors is Auroch Port Development. Auroch Port's OHSC manager, Jemington Johnson, says for the company, initiatives like this is a part of its corporate responsibility.
We understand that the greatest resource in any organization are the people, and when we talk about the country and our understanding of what we're invested in here. From a science perspective, technically, these kids need to be empowered, and it's only through the great stewards, our teachers, the ministry, the esteemed minister, and our supportive staff that we're able to contribute to these type of things.
Sickle cell disease is one of the most commonly inherited blood disorders impacting millions globally. Here in the Bahamas, the disease affects hundreds of teenagers and, by extension, their families. In recognition of Sickle Cell Awareness Month, the Bahamas Power and Light Company demonstrating their support through a donation to the cause. Our Danielle Miller tells us more.
On behalf of the Bahamas Sickle Cell Association, we would like to thank Bahamas Power and Light for their donation during Sickle Cell Awareness Month.
Those were the words of gratitude expressed by the Bahamas Sickle Cell Association President Christian Butler Benaby during a recent check presentation of $1,000 at the Bahamas Power and Light Company headquarters. Butler said the association currently has 500 sickle cell warriors registered, with 80% of them being under the age of 18. And this donation will help them fight the disease.
This donation will not only serve a practical purpose, but it serves as a partnership and a representation of care.
Director of Internal Audit, Chantal Williams, says the donation symbolizes BPL's commitments beyond the boardroom.
At BPL, we believe that our responsibility goes beyond providing electricity or keeping the lights on. This donation to the Bahamas Sickle Cell Association represents how we give back to the community which we serve.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Danielle Miller.
Thanks, Danielle. Still to come on our news weekend, we share the journey that ended with Mac Fit 360 in our arts and entertainment segment. But first,
Jazz Chisholm reaches a historic milestone, and Jonquel Jones and the New York Liberty play a decisive Game 3. Our sports weekend is up next.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blue for me and you, and I say to myself, what a wonderful world.
Good evening, welcome to Our Sports Weekend. I'm Tej Adderley. Jazz Chisholm Jr. made history for one of the most storied clubs in baseball last night, becoming the first player in 23 years to hit 30 home runs and steal 30 bases for the New York Yankees. Here's what went down. Jazz made history on Friday night, launching his 30th home run of the season in a 4-2 loss to the Baltimore Orioles. His shot came at the top of the 7th inning, scoring 2 runs to put the Yankees on the board. That would turn out to be the only time the Yankees scored in the game. Last night's home run made Jazz one of only 3 Yankees players in the 122-year history of the team to hit 30 home runs and steal 30 bases. The other 2 being Bobby Bonds, who accomplished the feat in 1975, and Alfonso Soriano, who did it in 2002 and in 2003. He's also the first Bahamian Major League player to go 30-30. Reaching the 30 home run mark is also a personal achievement for Jazz because it's his season high. And Jazz also has a chance to add to his season high because he and the Yankees are playing the Orioles right now, so check that out if you can. Now we're on to the hardware, where Jonquel Jones' season came to an end. Jonquel Jones and the New York Liberty fell in their best-of-3 series against the Phoenix Mercury on Friday night, 79-73. JJ had what may have been the worst game of her career, scoring 3 points on 1 of 10 shooting with 8 rebounds and 4 assists. Brianna Stewart tried to pick up the slack. She scored 30 points and grabbed 9 rebounds. Sabrina Ionescu dropped another 22 points for the Liberty, but she struggled from long range, going 3 for 12 from the 3-point line. Satu Sabali led the charge for the Mercury, scoring 23 points, and Alyssa Thomas had a triple-double, grabbing 11 boards and dishing out 11 assists to go with her 20 points. The Liberty came into this season with heavy expectations after making the finals 2 years in a row and winning the championship last year. With JJ's contract expiring, the Liberty have to make some big decisions for their future. Well, that is a wrap for sports this evening. I'm Tej Adderley. This is Our Sports Weekend. I'll see you again tomorrow night.
Thanks, Tej. When we come back from the break, Jimmy Mackey shares some of his keys to success. The details when Our News Weekend returns.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blue for me and you, and I say to myself, what a wonderful world.
Welcome back to Our News Weekend. Cloudy and raining conditions expected to continue. Meteorologist Ian McKenzie joins us now with your weekend weather. Good evening, Ian.
Thanks, Berthany, and good evening, Bahamas. Welcome to your Saturday evening forecast. Another soggy day across the islands. Unfortunately, cloudy on the outside. Temperature 83, feels like very warm at 90. Winds are from the northeast at 7 miles per hour. Across the country at this time, we have 82s in Freeport as well as Marsh Harbor, 84s in Alistown, Great Harbor Key, and in Governor's Harbor, 85 in Nicholstown, 83 in the capital. Central Bahamas, 85s continuing in Kemps Bay as well as Black Point, Georgetown, and in Coburn Town, San Salvador, 83 in Arthurstown, Kidd Island, 84s in Port Nelson, and in Deadman's Key, Long Island. Southeast Bahamas, 85s continuing in Duncantown as well as Matthewtown and Nagua, 84s in Colonel Hill, Delectable Bay, Abrahams Bay, Meguana, and 87 in Providenciales, Turks and Caicos. Satellite and radar imagery. At this time, we still have this broad area of cloudiness. This is all associated with that frontal boundary slash now turn into a weakening, what we call a shear line. This will continue to produce some unsettled weather across the northwest and central Bahamas throughout the course of tonight and to tomorrow, and more activity is expected. Taking a look now at the tropics, where we can see this trailing trough, but just to the east of it, this, yes folks, this is not hurricane yet, but tropical storm Gabrielle. Gabrielle is expected to strengthen through tomorrow, late tomorrow night into Monday, possibly becoming a hurricane. Elsewhere, the Hurricane Center is monitoring an active tropical wave that's just to the southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. This system has about a 20% chance for possible development. None of these systems pose any threat to the Bahamas at this time. Here's the track now where we expect Gabrielle to go, taking a more northwest track towards the north and just to the east of Bermuda. That's late tomorrow night into tomorrow, when it is expected to become a hurricane. Strength right now looking at around 65 miles per hour gusting. That will have an impact on our boating, so the northwest and central Bahamas, slight impact. Risk of rip currents for you swimmers, winds east, northeast to east, southeast 10 to 15 knot seas, 3 to 5 feet, slight swells. High tide at 7:49 p.m. tonight, low tide at 2:47 a.m. tomorrow morning. Southeast Bahamas, we have stronger swells, winds easterly 10 knot seas, 2 to 4 seas up to 6 feet in those north to easterly swells. In your extended forecast, you can close your eyes for this one. We still expect rainy conditions pretty much throughout the week. Walk with your umbrella, highs in the upper 80s, low 90s, with your lows in the upper 70s. That's a wrap in the evening forecast. Make it a great, safe, fun night, everyone.
If you've ever driven on Bahamas Boulevard, there is a well-known landmark that is impossible to miss, McFit 360 West. It is one of 2 locations owned by a former professional basketball player. He spoke with our Danielle Miller, saying his road to entrepreneurship was filled with bricks and rebounds. She tells us more in this report.
Went from pretty much Uriah McPhee, C.I. Gibson, Tabernacle. Then after actually my senior year, I stayed home a year. I wasn't even offered a scholarship. So stayed home, worked for the YMCA in Freeport, taught swimming, played in the night league, got myself ready, and the opportunity came, and that's when it all started.
Jimmy Mackey's journey reads like the chapters of a true hustler. Long before becoming the proprietor of McFit, he crisscrossed the globe holding various job titles. For 5 years, he played professional basketball overseas, even donning the national jersey for Team Bahamas. He then moved to Atlanta working as a doorman, a humbling chapter he describes as an act of survival. Eventually, he returned to the Bahamas and worked as a security guard in a casino on Paradise Island. Not long after, he traded in his security uniform to become a front desk clerk at Club One. The cycle of juggling jobs and countries stretched on until a chance encounter with a mentor sparked a turning point, giving him the momentum and the courage to finally bet on himself.
My wife and I, we moved back home again. So I'm all over the place, moving my family here and there. She's pushing me, she's following my dreams. And we started a boot camp on Malcolm Park with 6 people, right? I'm charging $150 on a park. And I have my truck at the time, I'm chugging weights on my truck. We move in, and it grew from 6 to 10 to 12 to 20 to 40 to 50, and it just keeps growing.
Now Jimmy Mackey owns one of the most prominent gyms in the country and arguably the region, training Olympians, NFL players, NBA players. He told me one of the keys to his success is he coached himself into thinking, I have nothing to lose, so why not take the chance?
I wouldn't change anything. I think everything that happens is supposed to happen. Everything that happens is because I've made that decision to pretty much grab what I got and what I've learned from the streets, from coaches, from mentors, and everybody in between. And this is what kind of brings me to this place to this day. Reporting for Our News, I'm Danielle Miller.
Thanks, Danielle, and thank you for joining us for Our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Berthany McDermott. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Make it a great weekend, everyone.
Hey guys, Megan Shepherd here. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Just click right over here. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so you stay up to date with content like this from the team you already trust.